I want to talk about underfloor heating, although that in itself is a misnomer because we say underfloor heating when we actually mean under or over floor. It's only under the top layer, whatever your finished flooring will be. It's not that common in the UK, probably because most of us are retrofitting and renovating old houses. It's definitely more common in the US and elsewhere. And I know that people have been surprised that I've put it in all the properties I've redeveloped, but it's just such lovely heat. The ideal indoor heating has ambient heat moving up through the room to keep us warm. In the UK we traditionally use radiators, which doesn't really work, quite frankly, and take up a lot of wall space. An alternative is air conditioning heating, which also doesn't keep a very consistent temperature throughout the airflow of the room. Whereas underfloor heating keeps it lovely and warm throughout the room, spreads the temperature out evenly. The Romans developed it more than 2,000 years ago, and it's one of the many things they got right. So, there are two types of underfloor heating, electric or water-based. Electric uses mats and loose cable, which are simply powered from a separate fuse in your consumer unit. Essentially, the wires are heating coils. It's cheap to put in, it's quick to install, and it is normally done independently room by room, so it's recommended for single rooms like a kitchen or bathroom, and it has very simple technical requirements and simple controls. The downside is it costs a lot more to run because electricity is more expensive, so direct electrical powered heat is more expensive than heating water. It's not recommended for whole house installations, and it's less cost effective on a day-to-day basis. Water-based or hydronic underfloor heating literally has hot water pipes fed by a boiler or a heat pump. It has much lower running costs. It's ideal for your whole house and it gives that really nice, even, steady heat. But it does cost more to install. You can do most of it yourself, it's really simple, but I would suggest that most of us would want a plumber to do the finishing touches. So in general, if you're doing one room, you'd put in electric, but if you're doing the whole house and renovating, you'd put in water. Electric can be installed under a standard wooden floor between the joists, but it does give a lower output than wet systems, and there is a risk of the timber overheating if it's not correctly designed. It does also need good insulation below the cables and an airspace. It is more normally put over the floor in mats or loose cable runs. So essentially you put down the insulation, then it comes in roll-out mats so it's very quick to put down, or you can get trays that you can run it into difficult places. Then you can screed over the top or tile or put down underlay and carpet. The cables are simply connected up to your consumer unit and you have a thermostat on the wall to control the heat. Water-based or wet underfloor heating can be under or over floor. It is commonly installed between the joists on spreader plates. It can be used under tiles, screed or anything else you like, and can be installed over floor using trays. It does give a more even heat distribution and it is better suited to underfloor than electric systems. It has a lower operating temperature so it reduces timber stress and it works well in big areas. In terms of installation, it looks very similar. You can buy these very expensive spreader plates to hang over the joists, although it's highly recommended that you have a thick layer of insulation underneath them. Or you can get various types of trays to hold the pipes on top of your subfloor. As an example, this was the delivery for the 3,000 square foot grey house. The ground floor was concrete, so I put down trays, ran the pipes, and here you can see that with these older concrete poured trays you've got plastic end pieces to give you a neat turn. I then boarded over the top, screwed down the boards and took a lot of time to make sure I was leaving very clear indications about where my pipes were because they're full of water. Upstairs at the grey house, when I bought it, it had 1960s flooring, which was actually cork tiles glued onto really rough chipboard. I ended up cutting so many holes in the floor to do various jobs that I eventually took up all the flooring and temporarily replaced it with green board, which made it much easier to do the underfloor heating. So here I pressure fitted insulation, which is really easy to do, and then you lay the pipes wherever you want them with these little clips. They're not expensive and come by the bag. Then fill it with a dry 6:1 sand and cement mix which spreads the heat, and you're done. I wanted a really nice finish in this house, so I bought myself a second-hand secret nailer and put down beautiful tongue and groove engineered oak flooring. It was fiddly and it took time, but it was so worth the effort. Then you need a manifold, which is basically a way of controlling the water flow. The top row is hot pipes, the bottom row is cold pipes, and each pair is going to one space, although in large rooms you do run more than one pipe set. Each area has a thermostat which is wired to the manifold, so that when you turn the thermostat it simply controls the flow through the valves. I got a plumber in because I didn't want to attempt putting in the manifold, and I wanted a professional to pressure test the system. Finally, you need a heat source. That could be a normal gas, oil or electric boiler. I actually put in a separate small underfloor heating boiler. The benefit of that is that you can turn it off, which meant that you could basically turn off the whole of the underfloor heating system without impacting your hot water. Another big advantage of wet underfloor heating is that it can be run on a back boiler or a solid fuel stove. It could run off a range or an Aga, a heat pump or solar thermal. The one thing about that sort of solution is that you do need a tank. The hot water wouldn't come directly off your back boiler or your Aga. You would have a tank so the temperature can be controlled. Again, in Whitley Bay I just put down trays. They're now so much cheaper and made of polystyrene. Then you run the pipes, board over the top, screw it down and tape the joints. Then I got a plumber to add in the manifold, connect up the pipes and the thermostats, which the electrician had run from all the rooms. We then just carpeted, and that was my underfloor heating done. So, final thoughts. Underfloor heating isn't new or experimental. It's been used for thousands of years because it works. It gives an even, comfortable heat, frees up wall space and works with a wide range of heat sources. Electric and water systems both have their place. Which one you choose depends on what you're doing and how far you're going with a project. Once you've lived with it, it's really hard to go back.